The evening air in New York was crisp as Ariana Johnson stepped into the grand ballroom of the Glenmore Charity Gala. Her heels clicked against the marble floor, and she adjusted the strap of her sleek black dress as she took in the opulence around her. Tonight wasn't about her. She had no ties to the elite crowd gathered in the room, but she had an invitation from a friend. She was just here to enjoy a night out and support a cause close to her heart. As she made her way toward the bar, she brushed past a man talking to a group of guests. He had striking features: broad shoulders, a chiseled jawline, and dark, intense eyes. His suit was perfectly tailored to his form, exuding the kind of wealth Ariana could only dream of. He didn't seem to notice her at first, but as she passed by, he reached out to gently catch her arm. "Excuse me," he said with a British accent that made her pulse race, his eyes locking onto hers. "I'm afraid you've mistaken me for someone else." Ariana blinked, confused, but smiled politely. "Sorry, I think you might be mistaken." "I didn't. No, I mean," he paused, his lips curling into a slight grin. "We've met before, haven't we?" "You look exactly like my fiancé." She raised an eyebrow, a little thrown off by the claim. "Your fiancé?" He nodded, completely serious. "Yes, of course." "Sophia, right?" He looked her over with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Ariana froze, unsure of how to respond. She glanced around nervously. This was embarrassing. She didn't know what to say, but before she could gather herself, the man continued, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. "Well, I guess you don't recognize me without the engagement ring, but it's all right. Happens all the time." He flashed a charming smile. Ariana couldn't help but laugh nervously. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." He held up a hand, cutting her off. "It's fine. No harm done. My name's Liam Spencer." He extended his hand, his smile widening. "And I'd be delighted to get to know you better, even if you aren't my fiancé." His casual charm left her speechless for a moment. She shook his hand, still trying to process the bizarre situation. The next few moments felt like a blur. Ariana had no idea why she went along with it, but when Liam mentioned that they had met before, her mind started spinning. What if he was actually talking about someone else? In the heat of the moment, her mouth ran ahead of her brain. "Well, I'm not Sophia, but if you're sure, I guess we can sort this out later," she said with a sheepish grin, feeling awkward yet strangely drawn to him. Liam's smile remained unwavering. "Why wait?" "We can fix this right now," he suggested smoothly, his tone too confident for Ariana's liking. Before she could protest, a gentle older woman approached them, an air of confusion on her face. "Oh, is this the beautiful fiancé everyone's been gossiping about?" she asked, looking between the two of them. Ariana's heart skipped a beat, her pulse rising. She barely had time to think before Liam wrapped an arm around her shoulder, offering a reassuring smile to the woman. "Yes, absolutely, this is Sophia," he confirmed, his voice steady and calm. Ariana's eyes widened. What was happening? "Sophia?" she blurted out, a little too loudly. The elderly woman beamed, clearly delighted. "Yes, my dear, I've heard so much about you," the woman gushed. "I'm thrilled to finally meet you. I knew you two would make a lovely couple. When's the wedding? The grand announcement, Ariana was caught in a whirlwind of confusion. There was no escape now. She'd let her mouth run free, and now she was trapped in this odd web of misunderstanding. Liam squeezed her shoulder lightly and leaned in close. "Don't worry, we'll sort this out," he whispered with a mischievous glint in his eye. His hand lingered for a moment longer than necessary, making Ariana's heart race. The woman was already off, happily gossiping with others. "What did you just do?" Ariana hissed, looking at Liam with a mixture of surprise and panic. Liam smiled, unfazed. "I just saved both of us from an awkward situation." "You're welcome. Now let's pretend we're engaged for the evening, shall we? Think of it as a fun little game." Before Ariana could respond, he led her into a nearby conversation group, making her feel like she had just stepped into a strange reality. As the night wore on, she realized she might have inadvertently started something she wasn't sure she could finish. The next morning, she woke up to a message on her phone from Liam Spencer. "The press is already talking about our engagement. Looks like we're stuck in this together for a while. Talk soon." And that's when Ariana realized Her accidental mistake had spiraled into something much bigger than she could have imagined. The next day, Ariana's phone buzzed again, this time with a call from Liam Spencer. She hesitated, debating whether to pick up. The past 24 hours had been a whirlwind. Her accidental engagement to a billionaire, the gossip, and now she had a feeling the worst was yet to come. "Hello?" she answered, her voice cautious. "Good morning, Sophia." Liam's voice came through, smooth and controlled. "I trust you slept well?" "The press coverage from last night is all over the place, so we have a bit of a situation." Ariana sank back into her chair, rubbing her temples. "I'm not Sophia, Liam. I don't know what you're thinking, but He interrupted her gently. "You'll get used to it. The situation is this. We need to make sure we don't go back on our word. So here's my proposition. How about a little arrangement?" Her heart raced, but she stayed calm. "An arrangement?" "Yes," he said, and she could practically hear the smirk in his voice. "We both know we can't just pretend this never happened. The press will hound us, so I propose a temporary arrangement, a fake marriage. You'll play the part of Sophia, my fiancée, for a few months. I'll cover all expenses, and you'll gain a certain level of privacy. All in the name of avoiding more drama." Ariana's head spun. "Are you serious? You're suggesting I fake a marriage with you?" Liam's tone softened, yet there was an undeniable confidence behind his words. "I know it's not ideal, but the alternative is worse. We both lose credibility. You need this, and I need the peace of mind. You'll be well taken care of, and I promise, no one will get hurt. What do you say?" Ariana felt like the walls were closing in. She barely knew this man, this rich, confident stranger who seemed to have a solution for everything. And yet, a part of her felt strangely reassured by the idea. Maybe it wasn't the best plan, but it was better than facing the media firestorm alone. "All right," she said finally, the words leaving her lips before she had a chance to overthink them. "Let's say I agree. What's the catch?" "There's no catch," Liam replied. "Just a simple contract. I'll have my lawyer draw something up, and then you can decide if you want to go through with it. But remember, the press will be watching. We have to be convincing." Ariana hesitated for a moment. "Fine. I'll play along, but don't think I'm just your pawn in this game." "Of course not," Liam said, his voice sincere. "This is just business. Nothing personal."
The next few days were a blur of emails, meetings, and carefully arranged photo ops. Ariana found herself thrust into a world that was completely unfamiliar to her. Luxury cars, private jets, exclusive events. Everything seemed larger than life, but nothing about it felt real. Her first real test came when Liam invited her to a gala at one of New York's most prestigious venues. She felt out of place as soon as she stepped into the grand ballroom. The weight of designer gowns, expensive jewelry, and cameras on her like a heavy cloak. Liam, ever the picture of composure, was by her side almost constantly, guiding her through the evening like a pro. He introduced her as his fiancée to a number of influential people, power brokers, artists, and even a few celebrities, none of whom seemed to question the sudden engagement. It was as if they'd all been expecting it. Throughout the evening, Ariana couldn't help but notice how seamlessly Liam moved in this world, how effortlessly he commanded attention. He was everything she wasn't, polished, poised, and completely at ease. But as the night wore on, Ariana started to notice something else. There was a vulnerability beneath his confident exterior, a fleeting look when he was alone for a moment, or the way he seemed to always be on guard, even in the most intimate of settings. As they made their way to a private balcony, away from the bustle of the party, Liam turned to Ariana. His eyes were softer now, less the businessman and more the man caught in an impossible situation. "How are you holding up?" he asked, his voice quiet. Ariana crossed her arms over her chest, looking out at the city lights below. "I'm fine, just a little overwhelmed. I didn't realize how intense this world was." Liam chuckled, stepping closer. "I warned you, but it's part of the deal, isn't it? Fake marriage and all that." She turned to face him, studying his face for any sign of sincerity. "Why do you do it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. All of this? Is it really just for the business?" He seemed to hesitate, as if the question had caught him off guard. For a moment, he said nothing, his gaze drifting to the city below. When he spoke, His voice was low, almost contemplative. Maybe it started out that way, he said. But it's not just about the business anymore. There's more to it. More to this arrangement. Ariana felt a pang in her chest, an unfamiliar feeling. Could it be that Liam was starting to see her as more than just his fake fiancé? Or was this all just another performance? As the night stretched on, Ariana couldn't help but wonder if their fake marriage was beginning to feel all too real for both of them. Ariana sat at the sleek glass table in Liam's penthouse, flipping through an assortment of documents. The glow from the city lights outside cast a soft light on the pages, but her mind was far from the paperwork in front of her. For the last few weeks, she had played the role of Sophia, the perfect fiancée, in a marriage that was nothing more than a contract. She had grown accustomed to the lavish events, the luxury cars, and the spotlight that followed them wherever they went. But with each passing day, the lies became harder to bear. Every time she held Liam's hand or exchanged a glance across a crowded room, she felt the weight of the deception. Was she really just pretending? Was this just another business arrangement? The contract Liam had drawn up was clear. They would stay married for a year, maintain the appearance of a happy couple, and keep their personal feelings separate. But somewhere along the way, Ariana had begun to feel something real, something she couldn't deny. The warm touch of Liam's hand on her back during their first public appearance together, the way he would look at her when he thought no one else was watching, the quiet moments shared in between the chaos of their busy lives. Everything had started to feel too real. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a text from Liam. "Meet me for dinner. Let's talk about the next steps." Dinner. They had so many meetings like this, where they would talk about their next move, what story to tell the press, or how to deal with the fallout of their relationship. But tonight, Ariana couldn't shake the feeling that something more was at stake. Later that evening, Ariana found herself sitting across from Liam at a private booth in one of New York's most upscale restaurants. The atmosphere was intimate, with soft jazz music playing in the background and the low hum of voices around them. Despite the luxurious setting, Ariana felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Liam looked across at her, his face unreadable. "You've been distant lately," he said, his voice calm but with a hint of concern. "Is something bothering you?" Ariana took a deep breath. She had been holding this conversation in for weeks. It was time to face the truth. "Liam," she began slowly, "I can't keep doing this. I can't keep pretending like this marriage doesn't matter to me." Liam's eyes softened, though his expression remained guarded. "What do you mean?" "I mean," she paused, trying to find the right words. "I've been playing the part of your fiancé, pretending like it's just business. But it's not. I don't know when it happened, but I started to care about you. Not as a businessman, not as a contract, but as a person." The words hung in the air between them. Ariana felt exposed, vulnerable, her heart racing as she waited for his response. Liam was silent for a moment, his gaze never leaving her. Finally, he spoke. "I knew it would happen eventually. I've started to feel the same way, Ariana. But I don't know what this means for us. We've built something based on a lie. How do we move forward from that?" Ariana didn't have an answer. She didn't know how to untangle the web they had woven. But in that moment, she realized that their fake marriage had become something much deeper. Could they truly love each other, or were they just trapped in their own deception? The days that followed were filled with tension as Ariana and Liam grappled with their feelings for each other. Though they continued to live their lives in the public eye, the cracks in their relationship were beginning to show. Ariana struggled with her growing attachment to Liam, unsure if she could trust that his feelings for her were real, and Liam seemed increasingly withdrawn, his mind elsewhere. It wasn't until Ariana found herself at Ryder Manor, Liam's family estate in the English countryside, that she truly understood the weight of the life he had been living. The sprawling estate was beautiful but oppressive, a reminder of the immense responsibility Liam carried as the heir to the Ryder family fortune. The visit was supposed to be a simple one, just a weekend away to get some distance from the chaos of their public life. But the moment Ariana arrived, she sensed the tension in the air. Liam's family was nothing like she had imagined. The formal dinners, the cold stares from his parents, the constant pressure to conform to their expectations. It was overwhelming. At dinner that evening, Ariana sat next to Liam, who seemed distant and distracted. His parents, both poised and regal, barely acknowledged her presence. As the meal went on, The conversation turned to business, of course, it always did in the Ryder family. Ariana felt out of place, like a stranger in their world. But it wasn't until later that night, when Liam took her aside, that she discovered the true nature of the family's business dealings and the secret that had been hidden for years. "I didn't want you to know this, Ariana," Liam said, his voice low and tense. "But my family's wealth isn't what it seems. They've been involved in questionable business practices for years. I've been trying to distance myself from them, but it's hard. And now, with everything that's happened, I don't know if I can keep running from it." Ariana was shocked. She had always known Liam as a man of wealth, but she had never imagined that his family's success came at such a cost. The man she had started to care for was carrying the weight of his family's dark past, and she had no idea how to help him. "I don't want this to define me, Ariana," Liam continued, his voice heavy with regret. "But I'm trapped in it. This marriage, it was supposed to fix things, to give me some breathing room. But now, I don't know what I'm doing." Ariana reached out, placing a hand on his. "You don't have to face this alone, Liam. We are in this together, remember?" For the first time in weeks, Liam looked at her with something akin to hope in his eyes. "I want to believe that, Ariana, but I'm afraid of losing you." As the weight of the family's secrets hung between them, Ariana knew that their journey was just beginning. But she also realized that no matter what happened, she couldn't walk away now. Not from him. Not from them. The weeks following their visit to Ryder Manor had been nothing short of intense. Ariana found herself tangled in emotions she couldn't quite untangle. Despite the agreement to keep things professional, the lines between fake and real had blurred. Liam had become someone she thought she could trust, and someone she found herself craving in ways she hadn't expected. They were sitting together in the cozy living room of Liam's penthouse, the soft light from the fireplace casting shadows on the walls. Ariana was perched on the couch, absent-mindedly flipping through a book, while Liam sat across from her, his focus on his phone. The silence between them was comfortable, but there was a tension that neither could ignore. Ariana couldn't help but glance at Liam every now and then. There was something magnetic about him, the way he seemed to have it all together, even when his life was falling apart. It was as if the man who had been her fake fiancé had become something more, something she wasn't prepared to admit. "Are you going to keep ignoring me, or should I just ask you outright?" Liam's voice broke the silence. Ariana looked up, startled. "What do you mean?" He raised an eyebrow, a half smile tugging at his lips. "You've been quiet for a while, and every time I look up, I catch you staring at me. You know, we've been through a lot lately, but you've never really opened up to me about what's going on inside your head." Ariana swallowed hard, feeling exposed. She had been keeping so much bottled up inside. The guilt, the confusion, the overwhelming feelings that had started to take root in her heart. It was all too much to process. But now, in the quiet of the evening, with Liam looking at her with such an intensity, she couldn't hide anymore. "I don't know how to feel anymore, Liam," she said quietly. "We started this marriage as a business deal, but somewhere along the way, I began to care about you. I've tried to ignore it, tried to convince myself it was just the circumstances, but it's real. I don't know what to do with it." Liam didn't speak at first. He simply watched her with those piercing blue eyes of his, as if weighing her words carefully. Finally, he set down his phone and stood, walking over to the couch. "Listen, Ariana," he said, sitting next to her. His voice was calm but firm. "I'm not perfect, and I've made plenty of mistakes. But what we have, what we're building, is real to me too. I've tried to fight it, tried to convince myself it was just part of the act, but I can't anymore." Ariana's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure if it was the honesty in his voice or the way he was looking at her, but something shifted between them. She could feel the pull, the undeniable attraction, and for the first time, she let herself lean into it. "I just don't know how we're going to move forward," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Liam reached for her hand, his grip gentle but sure. "One step at a time. We've already come this far. I'm not going to let you walk away. We'll figure this out together." Ariana nodded, her chest tightening with emotion she had been holding back. The lines between their fake marriage and their real feelings were no longer clear, and neither of them knew what would happen next. But for the first time, Ariana was willing to take the leap into the unknown with him. The pressure had been building for weeks, and it finally came to a head during a high-stakes business meeting that Liam had scheduled with some of his most important investors. The room was filled with powerful men and women, all of them scrutinizing every word Liam said. Ariana, sitting quietly beside him, could feel the tension in the air. She had learned to keep quiet during these meetings, allowing Liam to take the lead, but today was different. She could sense the weight of the decisions being made. Liam's reputation, his business empire, and their entire future together were at stake. The rumors about their fake marriage had been swirling for months, and now, with everything on the line, the truth had to come out. After the meeting concluded, the investors left, and Liam and Ariana were left alone in the boardroom. Liam seemed exhausted, his face taut with frustration. "That went well," Ariana said, her voice laced with uncertainty. She had noticed the cracks in Liam's otherwise polished exterior, the way his hands had trembled slightly as he signed papers. "It's not the meeting I'm worried about," Liam replied, his voice tense. He paced the room, his hand running through his hair in agitation. "It's everything else. The lies, the press, the pressure to make this work." Ariana felt a pang of sympathy for him, but also a sense of clarity. She had been holding back, afraid of what might happen if they let the world in on their secret. "I think it's time we face the truth," she said, standing up and walking toward him. "About us. About this marriage. It's not just a deal anymore. We both know it." Liam stopped pacing and looked at her, his expression unreadable. "You're right. It's not just business anymore." He stepped closer, his voice quiet. "But what happens next? What if the truth destroys everything we've worked for?" Ariana took a deep breath. "If we don't face it, then we'll always be pretending. And I can't keep pretending, Liam. I care about you too much to live a lie." Liam's eyes softened, and he reached for her hand. "I'm not going to let you go, Ariana. We'll get through this together. No more secrets, no more lies. Let's just be honest." For the first time, Ariana felt the weight of the situation lift from her shoulders. This was their moment of truth, the moment they would decide whether their love was strong enough to withstand the pressures of their world. They were no longer just playing a part. This was real. The next few days were filled with tension as Ariana and Liam navigated the aftermath of their conversation. The unspoken truth hung in the air, but neither of them knew what to do next. Ariana couldn't ignore the growing feelings she had for Liam, feelings that had started with a lie but had turned into something real and undeniable. But Liam was consumed with his family's expectations and his business empire. The pressure was mounting, and his every move seemed calculated to protect his carefully crafted persona. Yet, in the quiet moments when they were alone, Ariana could see glimpses of the man behind the mask, the vulnerable, conflicted Liam who had started to care for her despite the odds. Then, one evening, Ariana received a message from Liam. "Meet me at the Grand Pavilion. There's something important I need to show you." When she arrived at the grand venue, she was surprised to find the entire place bathed in soft candlelight, with a table set for two in the center of the room. The venue was normally used for high-profile events, but tonight it was empty, except for Liam, who stood at the far end, his back to her. As Ariana walked toward him, Liam turned and smiled, but there was something different in his eyes, a vulnerability she hadn't seen before. He stepped forward and took her hand gently. "Ariana," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "This marriage was never supposed to be real. It was a lie, a contract. But somewhere along the way, I found myself caring about you, more than I should have, more than I was prepared for." Ariana's heart raced as she listened, unsure of where this would go. Liam continued, "I've been hiding behind my business and my family's expectations for so long. But with you, I've found something worth fighting for. I don't want to live in the shadows anymore. I want to build something real with you." He then stepped aside, revealing a large, framed portrait of Ariana in the center of the room. It was a painting, beautifully done, capturing her essence. She gasped, overwhelmed by the unexpected gesture. "This is for you," Liam said softly. "For everything you've taught me about love, about being real. I want to make things right, Ariana. Not just for us, but for you." Tears welled in Ariana's eyes as she took in the moment. The grand gesture, the vulnerability, and the truth in his words washed over her. She had feared that the love they had would be destroyed by the lies. But Liam's actions proved that their love could survive. "I don't know what the future holds, but I want to face it with you," Liam said, taking her hand in his. Ariana smiled, her heart swelling with emotion. "I'm with you, Liam. No more pretending. We'll build this together." The weeks that followed were filled with new beginnings. Liam and Ariana decided to face the world as they truly were. No more lies, no more pretending. The press, who had once hounded them about their fake engagement, soon turned their focus on the authenticity of their relationship. The public saw their love, the way they supported each other, and the way their connection had grown from something forced into something genuine. Liam's family, while initially resistant, began to accept Ariana as a part of their world. The shadow of his family's business empire still loomed over him, but with Ariana by his side, he found the courage to take control of his own life. Together, they faced the challenges of balancing their relationship with the pressures of their careers and family obligations. One evening, as they sat together in their apartment, sipping wine and talking about their plans for the future, Liam turned to Ariana with a serious look in his eyes. "Ariana, there's something I've been meaning to ask you," he said, his voice soft but filled with determination. Ariana raised an eyebrow, feeling the anticipation build. "What is it?" Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "I know we've been through a lot, and our journey hasn't been easy, but I've realized that everything I've been looking for, everything I've needed, has been right here with you. Will you marry me for real this time?" Ariana's heart skipped a beat as she took in the sight of the ring in his hand. The same man who had once tricked her into a fake engagement now asking for her heart in the most sincere way possible. With tears in her eyes and a smile on her face, Ariana whispered, "Yes, Liam, I'll marry you. For real, no more pretending." Liam slid the ring onto her finger, and they embraced, their love sealed in a promise that was no longer bound by a contract, but by genuine affection and commitment. As the evening wore on, they talked about their dreams, building a life together, traveling, creating something that would last. What had started as an accidental marriage had become a love story for the ages. And with each passing day, Ariana and Liam knew that they had found something far more precious than wealth or status. They had found a love that would last a lifetime. And so, with no more lies and no more pretenses, they faced the future together, stronger than ever, with a love that had been forged through trials, tested by fate, and ultimately triumphant in the end. Thank you for watching Folk Tales by Quindora. For more interesting stories, please click on the subscription button